Please be seated. The court is now in session. Today the chamber will hear presentation of key documents in relation to security centers and internal purchase. The key document presentations will last for 2 days, and for today the chamber will allow the co-prosecutors and the lead co-lawyers for civil parties to present their key documents, and responses will be heard next week on Tuesday, 16 August 2016. Ms. Jie Su-Huang, please report the attendance of the parties and other individuals to today's proceedings. Grazie. Mr. President, for today's proceedings, all the parties to this case are present. Mr. Nguyen Chi is present in the holding cell downstairs. He has waived his right to be present in the courtroom. The waiver has been delivered to the greffier. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Jie Su-Huang. The chamber now decides on the request by Nguyen Chi. The chamber has received a waiver from Nguyen Chi, dated 12 August 2016, which states that due to his health, there is headache, back pain, he cannot sit or concentrate for long, and in order to effectively participate in future hearings, he requests to waive his right to be present at the 12 August 2016 hearing. He advises that his counsel advised him about the consequence of this waiver, that in no way it can be construed as a waiver of his rights to be tried fairly or to challenge evidence presented to or admitted by this court at any time during this trial. Having seen the medical report of Nguyen Chi by the duty doctor for the accused at the ECCC, dated 12 August 2016, which notes that Nguyen Chi has a chronic back pain and it becomes severe when he sits for long, and recommends that the chamber shall grant him his request so that he can follow the proceedings remotely from the holding cell downstairs. Based on the above information and pursuant to Rule 81.5 of the ECCC internal rules, the chamber grants Nguyen Chi his request to follow today's proceedings remotely from the holding cell downstairs via and audio-visual means. The chamber instructs the AV unit personnel to link the proceedings to the room downstairs so that Nguyen Chi can follow. That applies for the whole day. In relation to the contents of the key document presentation, the chamber would like to remind parties of its memorandum dated 28 January 2016, that is document E315/2, in which the chamber clarifies the following points. A. The chamber reiterates its preference for documents directly related to the relevant trial topic. B. The parties may choose to present written records of interviews and civil party applications if they wish to do so. C. The chamber will allow the parties further flexibility and permits the presentation of documents relevant to national level policies, although it notes that these documents might be more appropriate for the trial topic on the role of the accused. D. While recognizing that it may not be possible to avoid altogether commenting on the probative value of documents, the chamber encourages the parties to focus on presenting key documents that is in transcript on 28 April 2015, pages 19 to 20. E. Only admitted documents may be presented during these hearings. F. Documents obtained by torture must adhere to the Chamber's prior rulings on the use of such evidence. In particular, in relation to the majority decision of the judges on the use of evidence derived from torture, please refer to document E350/8. On 12 June 2016, the Chamber sent an email to parties for the purpose of key document presentations and the responses to those documents if they wish to do so, and the deadline was on the 1st of August 2016. The co-prosecutors, the lead co-lawyers for civil parties replied to that email to the Chamber that they wish to present key documents and to respond or to make observation to documents presented by other parties. The defense teams for Nuon Chea and Khieu Samphan replies that they do not wish to present key documents. However, the defense team for Khieu Samphan reserves its right to respond or to make observation to documents presented by the co-prosecutors and the lead co-lawyers for civil parties. Likewise, via email on the 1st and later on the 5th of August 2016, the Chamber instructed parties to provide lists of documents that they wish to present to the trial chamber and to other parties before the proceedings start, and by the letters 9th August 2016 with relevant EAN numbers of the all languages. Co-prosecutors and lead co-lawyers for civil parties provided a list of their key document presentations per the Chamber's instruction. And for the key document presentation, each party is allotted half a day to present their key documents in relation to security centers, the internal purchase, in the order that they deemed appropriate. The key document presentations will be first made by the co-prosecutors and the lead co-lawyers for civil parties. And after such a presentation by both the co-prosecutors and the lead co-lawyers for civil parties, defense team for Khieu Samphan and or the accused will be provided an opportunity to respond or to make observations on those documents presented by the co-prosecutors and the lead co-lawyers for civil parties. Now, the Chamber hands the floor to the co-prosecutors to present their key documents. You have the floor. Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, Your Honors. Good morning, everyone in and around the courtroom. And before I make key document presentation, I'm allowed to obtain permission from the President so that the co-prosecutors will seek permissions to provide those documents on screen, including some documents as well as some video clips. And we seek your permission, Mr. President. President, yes, your request is granted. Thank you. And I'd like to make key document presentations regarding security center of all consigned. And in relation to the capture and the execution of about 200 Jarai prisoners. And the first documents that I present in relation to the capture and the execution of 200 Jarai prisoners by Division 801 per instructions from Phnom Penh. And the document is E3/240, which is a telegram dated 15 June 1979 from the Secretary of the Northeast Zone, we, deported to brothers and copies to Noon, Brother Van, Brother Vaughn, Brother Kiel, Office and Archives. And the first paragraph of the document reads, and I'd like to have it on screen as well. At 9 a.m. of June 14, Production Unit 801, stationed at 107, while patrolling, arrested 209 Vietnamese soldiers, including 9 females, in the vicinity of O La, 4 kilometers north of road number 9, all of them of Jarai ethnicity, who speak Khmer with an ethnic account. They have already been kept in custody. The document was sent out before the Jarai people were interrogated. And later on it mentions that the measure taken was to seize all their belongings before questioning them, learn the plans of missing elements hiding in the jungle and their communications. And that letter was received on the 16th. Also, in relation to these documents, the testimony of Okonsain Chief during his testimony on the 8th of April 2013, that is document E1/177.1, at around 10 hours 06 minutes 55 seconds. He was questioned by Wang Song Desmael, and allow me to quote. Question: Witness, I will repeat the question. So, in this document that I read out to you, describing 209 Vietnamese soldiers, including 9 young women, sent to the command post on 14 June 1977, does this correspond to what you witnessed from these groups that arrived at Okonsain that had been sent by Division 801 and that you already spoke about before the investigating judge? And Mr. Chamsai responded, yes. But the number 209 here is not true. Only more than 100 were sent to my section. Also, the chief of Okonsain Security Center, Chaum Sai, who died before his testimony is due, acknowledged that a large group of Jarai people who were captured and arrested and sent to Okonsain Security Center died. His prior testimony of Chaum Sai is important, as he mentioned that the order to execute were received from the Northeast Zone Secretary via telegram dated 15 June 1977, which requires instruction from the Center for the Capture of the Jarai People. And I'd like to spend some time to present the testimony of Chaum Sai, former chief of Okonsain Security Center, who provided before he passed away. And I'd like to start with the portion related to the capture of Jarai people. And the first document is the WRI by OCIJ, document E3/407, at question answer 21. And allow me to quote. Question: can you describe the event in which the Jarai people were arrested and brought into your center? Answer: first, they were brought by truck into my security center. There were many Jarai people, so we did not have the house to accommodate them. The soldiers who had transported those Jarai people into my center were the ones who killed them. Personally, my security guards did not do it. Those prisoners were taken away to be killed and buried in the B-52 crater. Mr. President, please ask the Deputy Co-Prosecutor to slow down. Deputy Co-Prosecutor, please read it slower. Thank you, Mr. President. And another document, which is the WRI of Chom Sai before the OCIJ, that is document E3/405 in question answer number 12. And allow me to quote: "Those soldiers brought the prisoners in and left them with the office for only one night. They then took them and killed them during the night at pit inside the re-education and corrections office compound. The decision to do that were orders from zone chairman level, but at that time Ta Lao, the zone chairman, discussed the matters with Ta So Sarun." End of quote. And another point that I'd like to present is in relation to the capture of workers at the rubber plantation. And here I refer to telegram dated 15 June 77, where the Zone Secretary Wee sends to the center, document E3/240. In the second part, it refers to the infiltrated enemies at the rubber and cotton plantations, and stated that it has been decided that Comrade T would find a way secretly to take away the contemptible undercover at the rubber and cotton plantation. These networks are a number of links of the contemptible Sona who were in contact with the contemptible Ching Eng and Ta Tam, namely those who came from over in Stung Atrai and those from 107. Once responses have been obtained from all of them and clearly tape recorded, the request is made for a decision for the highest level for all of them. End of quote. Two witnesses who have been heard by a trial chamber in relation to O Consign Security Center, that is Pantol and Mung Chandi, former workers at rubber plantations who were captured during the time that the telegram was transmitted. And in relation to the capture of people implicated in the confessions by prisoners at S21, there were two contemporaneous documents from the DK regime in relation to the capture of people implicated in the confessions of S21 prisoners or all consigned, as well as the knowledge and the participations of the party's leadership in Phnom Penh in relation to those captures made by Division 801. And I refer to document E3/1164, which is a report dated 25th November 76 to 89 Son Sen, and it was from Division 801 Commander Sosa Ruan alias Ruan. In the part 4 of the report, there are 5 requests, and it is at EN 0005. President, again, Deputy Co-Prosecutor, please slow down for proper record. In section 4 of the report, there are 5 requests in relation to the organizational measure, and it is at EN 00052327, and English is at 00516711, and French is at 00532754. And allow me to quote: 1. Anyone who is suspicious of being an enemy must absolutely be arrested. 2. To examine the document regarding a person implicated by the enemy and request for a temporary arrest. 4 months later, on the 29th March 77, Saruan, chairman of Division 801, sent another report to Son Sen, that is Uncle 89, which is document E3/1060. At point number 5, Saruan made the following report. situation at units. We were following the trail of both new and old elements destroying the revolution. Those targets included those going against the revolution line and those newly and previously implicated by the enemy. End of quote. There is a written annotation that the report was sent to Angkar. Chief of Okan Security Center, Chaum Sai, during his testimony, acknowledged that confessions of S-21 were sent from Phnom Penh to Division 801 Commander Sarun, and they were used as a basis for the arrest of cadres of Division 801 and sent to Okan Security Center. In his statements, that is document EC/405, at question answer number 6, and allow me to quote, this office was created in late 1976 and early 1977 in the vicinity of Okan Sang. It was subordinate to Division 801. This office was created during the situations of the internal enemy movement occurring throughout the country. This office was created to hold prisoners who were Division 801 soldiers, who were free elements and who had inclinations and who had been implicated in responses. Free elements meant that they were undisciplined and went around shooting and throwing freely and used critical words that had a negative impact on the party. There were meetings to discuss this inside the division, during which Taso Sarun requested me from Regiment 801 to become the chairman of the Okan Sang Re-Education and Corrections Office. And further, in answer number 8 of the same document, and I quote, these initial 50 prisoners were all soldiers that were free elements that had been sent in from units subordinate to Division 801 to the Re-Education and Corrections Office. As for the offices of these military prisoners, they were, for instance, people who had been involved in responses and had been implicated in Phnom Penh. In another document of Mr. Chaum Sai, that is EC/407, at question answer number 6, and allow me to quote, the confessions implications were from Phnom Penh, meaning that they were the confessions of the prisoners who had been interrogated in Phnom Penh. In them, they implicated soldiers in 3 new battalions, which were newly integrated into a Brigade 801. I also read and saw the confessions from Phnom Penh. There were 3 to 4 confessions. Those confessions were marked with the red ink pen, saying that the prisoners with this name or that name must be examined because they were the agents in the network, and those prisoners should be asked to clarify their activities, background, and what activities they had done. These confessions were not sent to my Okan Security Center directly. They were first sent to Taso Sarun, then forwarded to the units of those prisoners so that they could arrest them and send them to the Okan Security Center. The confessions were also sent along with the prisoners to the Okan Security Center. End of quote. There is annotations on the confessions of S-21 prisoners confirming the testimony of Chaum Sai and shows that the relevant confessions related to 801 divisions were sent to So Sarun, the division commander, and cadres who were implicated were subject to arrest. On the cover page of an S-21 confession of a cadre of Division 502 named Sutun Alice Mao, that is document EC/3655, document EN 00173999, English 00224628, and French 00271447. There is a handwriting annotation of Q that is sent to Comrade Ruan commander of Division 801, dated 2nd June 77, with the following content, and I show it on the screen. Dear Comrade Ruan, please read this report of mouth and pick out the relevant named plus Unit 801. 2. I will help you tomorrow as I'm really busy this afternoon. 3. May you keep this confidential. With the signature of Q, and the date is 2nd June 1976. On the cover page of Confession of S21, who was a member of Division 801, as well as the commander of Regiment Keo Sarun, that is document EC/2951 at Khmer EN 00414996, English 00783155, and French is at 008072712272. There is an annotation dated 5th June 1977 from Dutch to respected brother with the following content, and I'd like to show it on screen. Respected brother, when asked about the situation in the unit of Keo Sarun, he reported that there were up to 58 people embedded in his treacherous network in Division 801, some of whom were Chom Lam Na Thon Keo Sarong alias Bao, who have already been removed to the base. At serial number 6589 of the S21 prisoners list of OCIJ, that is EC/393.2, is Prao Ban alias Chom, assistant of Division 801, who entered S21 on 12 June 1977, a week after the annotation made by Dutch. In the same document at serial number 4535, the name of the person is Kul Ha alias Pon, who is a commander of a battalion 803, who entered at 21 on 12 June 77. Besides, other cadres from Division 801 entered at 21 on the same day, and their names are on the list of prisoners of S21 who entered S21 in June 77. That is document E3/9646 at Khmer EN 01017034. In relation to testimony of a former chief of Ocean Security Center, I'd like to conclude my key document presentation in relation to that Ocean Security Center by presenting this last testimony of Mr. Chaum Sai in his WRI before OCIJ, that is document E3/405 at question answer number 8, and allow me to quote. By 1978, the number of prisoners increased to more than 100. The prisoners were a mix of soldiers that had been arrested and brought in from units subordinate to Division 801, and people from the cooperatives and rubber plantation union workers. In the same document, that is E3/405 at question answer number 9, and allow me to quote, Chaum Sai made the following statement. The prisoners, who were ordinary people, were youths and family people, husbands and wives, along with their children. But their small children were not prisoners. They just came to live with their parents inside the office. That's all. In the same document, at answer number 12, Chaum Sai said about the killing of the Vietnamese people at the end of the decay regime, and allow me to quote, Shortly before 1979, before the strong Vietnamese attacks in 1979, I saw that a group of 6 Vietnamese civilians had been taken prisoners on the O Ya Dao village battlefield along the border because those people had come to do reconnaissance along route number 19. After their interrogations were completed, Upper Echelon decided to finish off those persons in accordance with the orders of the Division 801 commander, who made the decision to finish them off. My office only has the right to interrogate and to prepare the documents and reports to Upper Echelon for decision. And in the same document, in answer number 13, and allow me to quote, "But the office had steel shackles and wooden shackles, both long and short, for shackling prisoners in the cells when they rested at night. Those shackled at night were involved with serious offense." Again, in the same document, at answer number 14, Cham Sa acknowledged that tortures were inflicted upon those at O Consign Security Center. And allow me to quote, question 14. Were prisoners who were interrogated in your re-education and corrections office tortured? Answer. There was some torture, but not all of them were tortured. Torture to get responses was done on any prisoners that we suspected were hiding things and were not responding truthfully, and prisoners were beaten with whips, and were electrically shocked. Comrade Chang interrogated the prisoners in the presence of a guard. Next, Comrade Chang made the report on the prisoners and sent them to me. When any prisoner who was an internal enemy was discovered, we prepared a document and sent to Sosaran, the division commander, to ask for his opinion. In the same document, in answer number 16, Cham Sa describes about the process of sending the prisoners, and allow me to quote, question. What measures were taken toward any prisoners who could not be re-educated and corrected? What was done with them? Answer 16. As for those prisoners, I only had the right to report to Ta Sarun, the division's commander, indicating that according to assessment and monitoring, it seems that a prisoner had not reformed, so then I requested an opinion and decision, and if after being kept for a period of time they still had not reformed, Ta Sarun ordered them killed and gotten rid of. As for military personnel who were prisoners of war and who had been captured on the battlefield, the capturing unit escorted them to be executed. Most of the killings of prisoners that could not be re-educated and corrected were in late 1978. They were buried in bomb craters near Phnom Svai. Most of the prisoners who were union workers or people from the cooperatives died from disease and not from execution. And the last document is again Cham Sa WRI, which is E3/3984, question answer number 3. And allow me to quote. The pit was dug in the southeastern part of the center, about 150 meters from the work site. The majority of the bodies of the ordinary people were taken to be buried in about 10 existing B-52 craters. And I conclude my part of the key document presentation, and please allow me to cede the floor to my international deputy co-prosecutor. Thank you.
President, you may now proceed. Deputy International Co-Prosecutor.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning, Your Honors, good morning, parties. I'd like to present some documents in the time that I have this morning in regards to the Phnom Krao Security Center, Sector 105, Division 920, and some of the surrounding areas. I'd like to begin by reading a few excerpts from document E3/1664, which is the book Khmer Rouge Purges in the Mondulkiri Highlands by Sarah Combe and Sorya Sim to give you a brief overview of the Sector 105 organizational structure and the purge of the region. First, I'd like to read a description of some of the relevant offices and leaders. This is at English ERN 003 976 14 to 15. There is no Khmer or French translations for this book. Quote, after 1975, the Center for Administration and Production shifted from Sen Monorom in the south to the area around the present-day town of Konyak. Located near Phnom Krau, Region 105's administrative center was called K17. It included a school, hospital, factories, sewing workshops, and machine shops. The region's military base, called K11, was located nearby, as was the main Munti Santisok and the region's commerce office, K16. The region committee consisted of Region Secretary Horm, alias Lang, and members Sok Keman, known as May, and Kim Krut, known as Cham. Horm, Alao Tampun, oversaw both civilian affairs and the provincial security apparatus as chief of K17. Both May and Cham appeared to have lesser roles than Kampun, who headed up K16, the region's powerful commerce office. Kampun, Alao Tumpen, was related by marriage to Horm. He held a pivotal role.
President, Mr. Co-Prosecutor, please read slower to facilitate the interpretation.
I will, Mr. President. He held a pivotal role as chief of K16, which was responsible for transporting and distributing supplies from Phnom Penh to various locations in the region. Kampun's son, Kam, was deputy district chief of Ko Sima, and his nephew, Zvay, was district chief of Konek, close quote. Next, at English ERN 003 976 40 to 42, I'd like to read a passage that gives an overview of the 1977 purges in Division 920 and Sector 105. Quote, the first and largest group to be purged in Region 105 was soldiers from Division 920. The purge of Division 920 began in February 1977 with the arrest of the division's top two commanders. Yi Chu, alias Soy, the division's deputy secretary, was arrested on February 17, 1977. 3 days after Soy's arrest, Men Meng, alias Chin, the secretary of Division 920, was arrested. In March, as part of the CPK trend to purge petty bourgeois intellectuals and replace them with basic class elements, Region 105 Deputy Secretary May was arrested and sent to S21. K16 Commerce Office Chief Kampun, a local, took his place. The arrests of more than 400 of Chin and Soy's subordinates in Division 920, largely ethnic Khmer, followed over the next 2 years, close quote. And the last passage I'd like to read from this book at this point is at English ERN 003 976 53 to 54, which describes the imposition of stricter rules and an increase in arrests and killings following the time when Sao Sarun took over as sector secretary of that sector. Quote, with Horm's death, Sarun, an ethnic Lao, became secretary of Region 105. The conflict between Kampun and Horm and the installation of Sarun as region secretary led to the imposition of stricter rules in the region and coincided with the period of the greatest number of deaths. Many informants marked the beginning of the most radical changes in Mondulkiri to late 1977 and 1978, when Sarun took power. This coincided with some of the largest waves of killings in other parts of Cambodia, linked in part to the outbreak of undeclared war with Vietnam. dozens of cadres were arrested and killed, as well as lower-level workers in the cooperatives and their families. A Bunong who lived in Konek said, "After Sarun became the region's secretary, they arrested people every day, 4 or 5 people a day. The chief of the cooperatives tried to intimidate the people to work harder by telling them Sarun was going to kill the lazy people. We had to work like a machine 24 hours a day. It became very difficult. It was hard to talk with each other. If the buffalo ate the rice, they would arrest and kill us. The Khmer Rouge were now targeting local leaders in the cooperatives and Dambans. They were looking for networks all the way down from the chief of Damban," said a Khmer who worked near K11 prison. "In one day, they'd kill 100 people. They'd move in 100 and move out 100. Close quote. Also, in relation to the arrests in Sector 105, I would like to point out to the Chamber that in the OCIJ S21 list, which is E393.2, there are a total of 396 people from Division 920 and 77 from Sector 105 who were sent to S21.
President, please, again, slow down to facilitate the interpretation.
I apologize, Mr. President. I will try to do so. And in addition to those on the OCIJ list, in the document that the OCP filed just on August 8th, that is E393/2, a supplement to the OCIJ S21 list, there are a further 14 individuals from Division 920 and 1 from Sector 105. I would like to now move on to reading from the statements given to the OCIJ by 2 detainees from the Phnom Kral Dam Security Office who passed away before they were able to testify in this courtroom. The first document is E3/7703. It's the OCIJ statement of deceased civil party Wong Dos, who was detained at Phnom Kral Security Center from September 1977 to April 1978. This first passage is at English ERN 002-42171, Khmer 002-36746, and French 004-26116, where he describes his arrival and detention at Phnom Kral. Quote, "They put us in leg shackles until 8:30 p.m. when they turned on the lights and began to interrogate. Leng was my interrogator. He asked, 'Comrade, do you realize why Angkor has arrested you and brought you here?' I answered, 'I do not know. I did nothing wrong.' In the morning, they had us go out to work, but our hands were still tied. When we returned, they put us in leg shackles next to one another, with about 20 people in each row. Every single afternoon, after the meal, they always held a meeting and accused all of us of being CIA. The number of people held in that prison reached 385, the majority of whom were soldiers from Division 920. I do not know what they had done wrong, but I saw them being transported in during the morning, and at night they were taken away. These activities happened many times." Close quote. The next passage is at English ERN 002-42171-72, Khmer 002-36746-47, and French 004-26116-17. In this passage, Wong Dos describes the interrogation, torture, beating, and execution of an ethnic minority prisoner at the Phnom Kral Dam Security Office. Quote, "I personally saw them beat a prisoner named Hughes, an ethnic minority member, to death inside the prison while his arms and legs were shackled. They interrogated him, asking, "Comrade, you want to flee to the Yuan? Those in your group are all CIA." Then they began beating him right away. They used a rectangular piece of wood about half a meter long. First, they clubbed his body twice. Then they asked, "Comrade, why do you want to flee to the Yuan?" The prisoner answered, "I do not want to go to the Yuan." They again asked, "If you don't want to flee to the Yuan, why did Ankar arrest you?" The prisoner answered, "Ankar arrested me and brought me here, but I did nothing wrong." Then they said, "There is no need to talk a lot." Then they began beating the prisoner until he fell unconscious, and blood spattered on me and the other prisoners. Then they took off the shackles and dragged him away and stabbed him to death with a bayonet there inside the prison. A lot of people beat him. There were about 5 of them. Close quote. The next passage is at English ERN 002 42172, Khmer 002 36747, and French 004 26117. Wong Dos describes the conditions at the Phnom Krau Dam security office, as well as prisoners being taken away for execution. Quote, "Many prisoners were transported away during the night, but I don't know where they were taken. In the morning, they announced, 'Comrades, do not be afraid.' Those who were taken away were sent back to live in their villages, but none of them were ever seen to return to their villages. The food in the prison was gruel, but it was insufficient. They fed us twice a day, at noon and in the afternoon. They had us work from 6:30 a.m. until 11 a.m., and we returned to work from 12 until 4:30 p.m., when they sent us back to the prison. All the prisoners were in a weakened state and were thin and pale due to lack of food, and they fell ill, and there was no medicine to treat them. When prisoners urinated or defecated, they had them do it in an ammunition case, and there was a child to take it out. They forbid us from talking to one another in prison or speaking ethnic minority languages. When we slept, they had us sleep with our arms and legs shackled. There was no hygiene in the prison. The entire prison stank." Close quote. The other deceased individual who was unable to testify is civil party Sok El, who was a policeman during the Sihanouk regime from 1957 until 1967, and who was arrested and detained at the Phnom Krau Dam security office for 7 months. In his statement E3/7702 at English ERN 002 39509, Khmer 002 36727, French 002 74825, he describes his arrest. Quote, "When they arrested me, they arrested my son too. They told me that they were rounding up former soldiers and policemen to assemble them in Konyak district. When I left Preah village, there were 8 of us. When we arrived at Ao Kutuong, the number had increased to 18. We traveled with our arms tied behind our backs, and we were tied together with a rope. After 2 nights and 3 days, we reached Phnom Krau. When we initially reached Phnom Krau, they hung me upside in leg shackles separate from the others for 1 night and 1 day. Then they took me down and put me in a long wooden leg shackle, which held 4 persons." Close quote. Then, at English ERN 002 39510, Khmer 002 36727, and French 002 74825-26, he describes the prison itself. Quote, In the Phnom Kraal prison, I saw about 80 male prisoners. After they took the other prisoners away in 3 trucks and 2 Land Rovers, they had the 80 remaining prisoners work in handcuffs inside the Phnom Kraal prison. Level 1 and Level 2 prisoners were taken to Phnom Penh. Level 3 prisoners were reformed at the Phnom Kraal prison. The final passage from this statement I would like to read is at English 002 39510, Khmer 002 36728, French 002 74826. Here, Sok-El describes the conditions of the Phnom Kraal Dam Security Office and the execution of an ethnic minority prisoner. Quote, "The prison where they held me had wooden pillars and a floor made of bamboo lattice, which was about 3 stair steps high. There were no walls. It had a thatch roof. It was located near the Phnom Kraal Dam. The bamboo lattice floor was flea infested. In the prison, I personally saw Pai beat a prisoner to death. Pai killed that prisoner because fellow prisoners had told Pai that he spoke an ethnic language. The prisoner he killed was the former husband of my present wife." I would like to now move to presenting a number of telegrams and reports sent to the center by Sector 105 or Division 920, which show the knowledge, control, and responsibility of the Party Center for the Autonomous Sector 105, including decisions on the fate of arrested prisoners. I will start with telegrams from the early period of this sector, during which the sector's telegrams were addressed to specific center leaders. These telegrams show Nuon Chea's responsibility for this region. You could show document E3-1192 on the screens. This is a telegram from Sector 105 Secretary Lang to beloved and missed brother Nuon, dated 12 October 76, reporting on a variety of matters relating to the sector and confirming that he had received Nuon Chea's telegram. Next, if we could please show document E3-1194 on the screens. This is a telegram from Sector Secretary Lang to beloved and missed brother, dated 19 October 1976, which was circulated only to Brother Nuon, office and documentation, confirming receipt of instructions on the party's 4-year plan. If we could next show document E3/1118. This is a telegram from Lang, alias Chan, to Brother Nuon, dated 2 November 1976, reporting on, quote, "the situation at the border," close quote. Next, if we could show document E3-1196. This is a telegram from Lang, alias Chan, to Office 870, dated 26 November 1976. It is copied to Brother Nuon and Brother Q, reporting on the situation at the base and, quote, "military measures," unquote, adopted relating to the, quote, 7 people, unquote, or Group 7, on which the, quote, division and sector units were in consensus, close quote. The next telegram I would like to show on the screen is at English E3/160, English ERN 001-43134. The Khmer version of this telegram is at E3/160A. This is a 4 December 1976 telegram from Sector 105, Secretary Lang, alias Chan, to M870. The third paragraph of this telegram reported on the enemy situation. Quote, "As for the situation at grassroots level, there are movements to create turmoil amongst the enemies, manipulating Sihanouk's name. The enemy groups said that if anyone did not go along with Sihanouk, he or she would be killed. According to cooperative chiefs, the enemy said that she would be killed. They also said that 6 people had been arrested. Close quote. That telegram was only distributed to Bang Nuon and Office and Archive. The next document I would like to show on the screen is document E3/1199. This document shows decisions made by the Center on persons to be arrested during the purge of Division 920. It is a 6 April 1977 telegram from San, the new Secretary of Division 920, after the arrest of Chin, regarding efforts to re-educate and uncover traitors within the division. The report contains an annotation showing it was forwarded to Ankar by Son Sen, and an annotation that says, quote, arrest them, close quote, next to the names of 2 battalion secretaries from Regiment 92, Comrades San and On. I would like to note for the Chamber that in the OCIJ S21 prisoner list, E393.2, it includes 2 secretaries from Regiment 92 who entered S21 on 14 April 1977, about 1 week after this telegram. Those are numbers 1764 Ham San and 11538 Sek On. An example of the coordination between the leaders of Sector 105, Division 920, and the party center, as well as of the center's knowledge and approval of arrest in Mondulkiri, is E3/877. If we could please show that on the screens. This is a telegram from Sector 105, Secretary Lang, alias Chan, to Office 870, dated 20 May 1977. The second paragraph of this telegram reported to Office 870 as follows, quote, on 18 May 1977, Division 2 arrested 2 Yuan on the Keosema and Srey Prea spearheads. They were just contemptible Tuists, 1 second and 1 first lieutenant. They asked to go to France, close quote. Sector Secretary Lang noted at the end of this report, quote, the problem of these contemptible Yuan has already been decided, close quote. The third paragraph of Lang's telegram reports, quote, on 13 May 1977, the sector units sacrificed 1 and had another severely wounded when the enemy attacked near the Tu Choi office on the Tu Swa side. This was 50 meters from the office. Our assessment is that this was not an enemy from the outside. We suspect the division, henchmen of the contemptible Som and contemptible Chin. The problem has already been reported to Comrade San. Despite arrests of Unit 920s, activities continue one after the other, but we are making arrest after arrest too, close quote. Another example is E3/1204, which is the last document I would like to show on the screen in this group of documents. This is a telegram to Office 870, dated 27 August 1977. Paragraph 5 of the telegram requested instructions from Office 870 on the following. Quote, 3 people who escaped from Stong Treng were the real enemies as they were holding Sihanouk pictures. One of them, called Chur, was a soldier in the Northeast Zone. It is now up for a decision, either to purge them here or send them to the Northeast Zone, close quote. Your Honors, the last group of documents that I would like to present relate to a subject that came up repeatedly in the Phnom Kral segment, and that is the relationship and conflict between Democratic Kampuchea and Vietnam on the border in Mondulkiri. The following two telegrams from Division 920 Secretary Chin show that there were regular contacts between division or sector cadre in Mondulkiri and the Vietnamese, which were reported to the party center. E3/9288 is a report from Division 920, Secretary Chin, to Brother 89, Son Sen, dated 10 January 1976. In paragraph 2, it states, quote, "Along the border in Pichchenda district, there is a former Vietnamese office that was used to store their petroleum. We met Vietnamese there, and we cooperated with each other to work along the border. We mentioned about spies at that place, those who were armed with AR guns. The Vietnamese were searching for those spies, and they also asked us to help them look for the spies. They asked us to destroy the spies if we found them." Close quote. Document E3/1020 is a report from Division 920, Secretary Chin, to Brother 89, Son Sen, dated 22 October 1976. That document reported the following in the first paragraph, quote, "I would like to inform you of the following situations. At 10:30 a.m. on 16 February 1976, Group 7 brought in the Army materials, mats, and pillows, and positioned their troops in Udam Bay. There were 55 of them, equipped with all types of weapons, as we were. From 15 to 21 February, we held talks with them, but nothing has been achieved. Now we are preparing a plan of attack." Close quote. This court has heard testimony from Bun Lung Choi and Sun Vut that the Democratic Kampuchea forces were attacking the Vietnamese at the same time that other Democratic Kampuchea representatives were attempting to negotiate resolutions of the land border conflicts with a Vietnamese delegation. This is confirmed by document E3/866, which I would like to show on the screen. This is a 7 March 1976 telegram from Northeast Zone Secretary Ya to respected brothers, which was distributed to brothers Pol, Nuon, Q, Van, and Dun. If we could please show that document on the screen. This telegram reports on ongoing meetings between DK and Vietnamese delegations, which were described as, quote, "warm and friendly atmosphere," close quote, in which the Vietnamese delegation, quote, "behaved and spoke more proper and polite than before," close quote. At the end of the report, Ya requested advice from the party center and noted the following, quote, "If Ankar agrees to it, we request 89 side to advise 920 side to slow down the fighting for a while. We have tried to contact 920 side for a long time, but could not make it." Close quote. Around the same time as these negotiations, Division 920 Secretary Chin was reporting to Son Sen on DK military attacks against the Vietnamese. Document E3/8373 is a report sent from Chin to Son Sen on 29 February 1976, describing how when division troops had found 60 Vietnamese who had entered 2 kilometers into, quote, "our territory," close quote, Division 920 forces had, and I quote, "smashed them all with grenades," close quote. A few days later, on 3 March 1976, in document E3/923, Division 920 Secretary Chin reported to Son Sen in paragraph 1 that, quote, "Our brothers attacked Group 7 again," close quote. The 11 March 1976 Standing Committee meeting on problems on the Eastern Front, attended by both Nuon Chea and Khieu Samphan, which is document E3/217, states in section 1, quote, "Comrade Khieu reported to the Standing Committee regarding the situation on the eastern frontier, especially in Mondulkiri, and on discussions and contacts with Vietnam, the area of our land they control, and the maps they use," close quote. And in section 2.3 of that report, which is called, those minutes, which were called future measures, it says there will be two types of future measures, military and political. Quote, A, military. We must have our forces to defend, not allowing any empty space at all. If they invaded all our land completely, we would attack them. They are not strong. Like in Ratanakiri and in Takeo, we attacked and defeated them completely in many locations. But we attack and we negotiate. B, political measures. First, we contact Vietnam in friendship. We say we negotiate in solidarity. We do this to prevent the situation from growing more tense. We keep it relaxed to prolong. We resolve it like this to gain time to prepare our forces on our own for a while. Close quote. Also, in the 26 March 1976 Standing Committee meeting on results of negotiations with Vietnam regarding the eastern border, presided over by Nuon Chea and attended by Khieu Samphan at E3/9260, Section 1, the report of Comrade Ya, quote, "Comrade Ya reported to the meeting concerning the results of the negotiations with Vietnam from the evening of the 7th until the morning of the 9th March 1976. Mr. President, I have one final document that I would like to present before my portion of the presentation is concluded. And I would like to return at this point to the book I began quoting from, Khmer Rouge Purges in the Mondulkiri Highlands. This is E3/1664, English ERN 003-976-23-24, where there is a discussion of Ya's role in negotiations with Vietnam and disagreement with Pol Pot. Quote, "In March 1976, Ya led talks in Ratanakiri with a Vietnamese delegation to iron out border disputes. In May 1976, he then went to Phnom Penh to participate in talks with a Vietnamese delegation to negotiate a new border treaty. The negotiations, which reportedly became tense at times, came to an impasse over whether to accept French-drawn maps and boundaries. At Pol Pot's urging, the talks were broken off by the Cambodian side, although there are indications that Ya was somewhat reluctant to do so. Ya was later criticized for being too soft on the Vietnamese, allegedly agreeing to cede territory to them and advising that division troops pull back from the border. These border talks were likely the last face-to-face negotiations between the DK regime and Vietnam before full-scale war broke out between the two countries." Close quote. And just a little bit farther on, at English ERN 003-976-39, this is my final quote. Quote, "Of the arrests of Ya and Kaomea, David Chandler has written that it is unlikely that the two-party veterans were plotting against Pol Pot. It is more likely that Pol Pot moved against the two defenseless senior party figures to terrorize the clients they had built up over the years." Close quote. Continuing in footnote 217, that book states, quote, Steve Heder notes that other veteran cadres, such as Pol Pot and Nguyen Chea, had long-term contacts with the Vietnamese. So it was not such contacts per se that were the basis of the purge of Ya. Instead, relations with the Vietnamese were likely used as a pretext by Ya's enemies to purge him. Close quote. And that book attributes that last section to personal communication between the authors and Steve Heder. You can find that in the relevant footnote. Thank you very much, Your Honors.
Thank you, Deputy Co-Prosecutor. It is now convenient for a short break. We'll take a 20 minutes break and resume after that. The court is now in recess.